Okay, so I'm about to go mute.
Okay, and I'm about to pull up these questions. Um, Hold on, guys. Okay, so is everyone ready to start?
Yes.
Okay. Well, everyone, welcome to Detroit Speaks first webinar, College 101. I'd like to introduce, Detroit Speaks. Bree, can you unmute yourself for a second?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Can you give a brief background on Detroit Speaks really quickly?
Okay, well, the idea of Detroit Speaks came to my head because I moved. I live in Atlanta now, and I work in nonprofits. I work for United Way of Greater Atlanta, and I do a lot of giving back and a lot of service. And I felt a little empty knowing that I wasn't at home giving back as well. And so I wanted to figure out a way that people who are all over but are from Detroit that always have Detroit in their heart can give back just like me. And so, utilizing the internet and social media and all the technology that we have today, I feel like there's no way that we shouldn't be able to give back. And so the purpose of Detroit Speaks is to be able to kind of reach back and think about when you were in high school and the things you were going through and the things you were thinking about, and getting that insight from millennials, people like us that, want to keep it real, want to keep it 100, but we don't always have the avenue to do it. So that's what Detroit Speaks is all about. Thanks, Danny.
Perfect, no problem. Thanks, Breezy. That was real news-like. Thanks, Danny. Okay, so we're going to start by introducing our guest speakers. We have Thomas Burrell. He was a 2013 Howard graduate, sports management and economics degree. Okay. Worked for Detroit Pistons a year after graduation, left to do professional umpiring and pursue entrepreneurship. He also does acting and performs comedy. So welcome, Thomas.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. And next we have Brittany Brown. Okay, hold on, Brittany. I am going to pull up your bio right now. Mm-mm. Brittany Brown, she is CEO of the B Agency Public Relations based in Detroit, Michigan, a graduate of Eastern Michigan University 2013 with a BA in Communications. Welcome, Brittany. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me as well.
Okay, so let's just get right to it. We're going to be talking about, of course, college, your first year of college, what these students can expect. First question, did you all receive any financial aid while in college? Or let's just talk about financial aid. Did you receive any financial aid? If so, how did you go about applying for it or receiving it?
Mhm.
What would you like? Who the order?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Unless y'all want me to like pick who can go first. It doesn't matter though.
Okay, I mean I'll go ahead and answer. Uh, when I first went to college, I did receive financial aid, but I also had some scholarships to back me. Um, my my initial thing with financial aid is you have to apply early and apply often, like grants, financial aid, FAFSA. Make sure you get your FAFSA in as soon as you hear about FAFSA because it's a first come, first served thing. So if you know you're someone who can't rely on scholarship, make sure that you do whatever you can to put yourself in a position to receive that financial aid. Don't make the reason you didn't get financial aid is because you procrastinated.
Mhm. And
Sounds good.
yeah, and just to piggyback on that, after I graduated out of high school, I had no idea what financial aid was. So just to kind of go back to the basis of number one, financial aid is aid in the form of money that the state or the school or different organizations give to you to help you pay for school. Because, of course, right now the average um, tuition is between 18 to about $26,000. That's either in state or out of state. I had scholarships, grants, any type of financial aid I can get to get me through college. And just how Thomas has said, I knew Well, I started researching and finding out that New Year's Eve, I had my computer set up to FAFSA.gov so I can make sure on January 1st that I was ready to apply for FAFSA so I can get as much financial aid that anybody else. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to party. I wanted to make sure I had my financial aid in order. So that's one thing that I had to learn, that the later that you wait to get financial aid, that can hurt you in the long run. So most definitely get ready for it to come and do your research on the different grants that are out there, because there's so many grants and scholarships for those who are maybe first generation, your different majors, the different organizations you are a part of, your religion. It's so many things out there. I would say most definitely start researching, because the money is out there. It's just you have to do the work to get it. So
Perfect. Thomas, you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, she pretty much covered it. You'd be surprised how many ways you can get financial aid. Is anything. If you cut grass in the morning, you get
right.
financial aid, et cetera, et cetera. There's just a lot of ways, a lot of different ways, and you won't know until you actually go and start applying, and you'd be surprised where you end up and find out what you find.
Right.
So the biggest piece of advice that you two can give is kind of, apply early and apply as much as you can.
Yes. And
Indeed.
get every scholarship possible. Free money is always good money. Legal free money is good money. So
Yes. Okay, I hope everyone is taking note of that. We got some good tips coming out of here. Number 2, did you all stay on campus? We're going to talk about housing now. Did you all stay on campus at all throughout college? And would you suggest on-campus or off-campus housing?
I stayed on campus and off campus. I would highly suggest staying on campus, probably like your first through third year, because that's how I got involved in a lot of different organizations. I met a lot of friends. I met people through living in dorms with me that are now my sorority sisters. So it just gave me a whole opportunity to actually be in a college field. But then in my senior year, I did live off campus. That's when it hit you, when you start having to pay rent and bills. So I would say do both before you do make that decision of staying off campus. Make sure that you have some type of steady income that you can pay your bills, because you have to pay your rent, you have to pay your DTE, you have to pay certain bills depending on what apartment or wherever you decide to live off campus.
Okay, thank you, Brittany. Thomas, you want to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. My first 2 years I stayed on campus, and my last 2 years I stayed off campus. I'll touch on both. While I won't knock living on campus for 4 years either, because I know people that did that as well. In terms of, I say at least your freshman year, definitely live on campus, because that's when you build your network. You don't want to go to a school where everyone's new coming in, and then you miss your chance to meet all these types of people just because you want to grow up too fast and move off on your own. Like people that I met freshman, sophomore year on campus, these might be the same people that can vouch for me for jobs, tell me about jobs, get jobs, and tell me things. The power of network can never be overlooked, and I was fortunate to go to school in D.C. So I was at my school. It was Howard. It was a lot of people from everywhere. So had I not been on campus, I would have never met all these people. So now I can feel like I can go to any state and just about link up with anybody, just no matter where I'm at. My last 2 years, I did live off campus, and that was an experience I can relate to none other. It's simply because when you go to college, you're gonna think you're grown, and then soon you'll find out that you're not grown. You're gonna find out, dang, I'm still growing. You might be independent from your parents, but you're not quite yet grown. And then living in a dorm, living on campus, everything's pretty much taken care of, so you don't really think much about it. When you live off campus, like Brittany said, you're paying bills. You have to clean up after yourself. And you're also learning how to live with others. Everyone wasn't brought up the same as you. So you get to experience that hands-on before you actually go and do it in the real world. But on the other hand, if you're not ready to live on your own, don't spend every penny you own trying to live on your own, because then you will be that roommate that can't make their rent, and then it gets very bad from there. And I know everyone that lived on their own probably has some sort of experience with paying bills. So what I'll suggest is, if your finances allow you, if you know you're somebody that can't study around a lot of people and you need that space, go ahead and do it. But it's not something that you have to do. You have all your life to pay bills, believe me.
Yes, and that is the truth.
Right.
Now, on the subject of roommates, any advice regarding choosing roommates or roommate etiquette? Because I know I found out that I'm not a roommate person while in college.
Well, I feel like college is where you really experience things that you did not have the opportunity to experience when you were at home in a comfort with your parents or whomever that you know, your cousins, your sisters, your brothers.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in college, this was my first experience. I'm an only child. This was my first experience living with someone else who did not clean, or who had company, and I'm trying to go to sleep, or you got to study for a test, or this is your first experience of you actually learning how to work with other young adults, that you're in a contract that you can't just be like, okay, well, I'm about to go, or you got to go. It teaches you how to communicate with others in the most respectful way, and it teaches you to learn your limits. And in terms of choosing a roommate, I never chose a roommate. I just wanted to take it on. Like my freshman year, it was just whatever it is, whomever it is, and I knew I had to, get to know these people, and they're still my friends today. But of course, I have some positive and some negatives of when I moved off campus to having my own apartment and my first roommate. And she was going through a breakup, and I lived with her, so I had to go through the breakup with her. So you just gotta go through those emotions with your roommate at the same time, but then being mindful of your purpose, that you're still in college and you're here for a reason. So you can't let that get you off track, because those roommates are going to be those first people that you're going to meet. Because when you go to your on campus, that's where you're going to go, and that's where you're going to probably be like, leave all your stuff. That's your first friend. That's the person you can go to orientation with, probably walk around the campus with. That's going to be like your homie until y'all go y'all separate ways and y'all figure out what each of you want to do. Or that's going to be the person that in the end it can be your best man in your wedding, just depending on how your relationship is. So I've loved my experiences with roommates, but it's not for everybody. But it's something that you have to deal with, because it's something that you have to understand and do when you're like, you can't choose who you work with in the real world when you go into adulthood for a job or a project. So it teaches you how to communicate and work with others and live with others as well. So.
Awesome answer. Thank you so much, Brittany. And I can totally relate to that, because I have some roommate stories. It would take longer than an hour to talk about. So
I don't want to go all in detail, but yeah.
Okay, now Thomas, you want to add anything to that?
My whole thing is know who you're living with, know who you're living with, know who you're living with. I can't stress that enough. The only time I went into a living situation without knowing who I had to live with was freshman year, and the roommate thing was random. And from then on, I said I will always know who I'm living with. So that's pretty much how that goes. When it went to my situation of choosing who I was going to live with in a house, I believe it's way different for men and women, simply because my mom, when I told my mom I was going to live in a house, she didn't she just assumed that by the end of the year we will all be fighting. Like I'm like, these are my boys. Like we're all good. Like I don't understand where's the divide. So just from the stories I hear, men can be a lot more tolerant of the conditions they live in than women. I'm trying to think how I could say this.
Careful.
Well, people, like I said, everyone's brought in different. Just know who you're living with. If you're living with people you know, it's much easier to talk to them about your concerns and issues. One year I did live with it was a room. It was 4 people that I lived with, and we needed to a fourth person, so we chose to choose someone we didn't know as well, and it got messy, because when everyone knows everybody, they're gonna look out for each other. Like, oh, this is my friend. I'm gonna, oh, okay, he's lacking here, so let me get this. Or if you take something out the fridge, it's a lot easier to explain versus that happening to someone you don't know. So my best advice for a roommate: just know who you're living with, and it's a lot easier to deal with the situations that will come from living with people, because it's not going to be all perfect all the time either. So best advice: just know who you're living with. Choose friends that you know and can trust around your stuff without you always being there, because you're not going to be able, it's going to be a lack of privacy in certain things, and just knowing someone, knowing their character, their tendencies, their behaviors will just take you a lot further than it being someone you don't know as well.
Perfect. Perfect. And I can definitely relate to that as well. Now, I think we covered that. Okay, let's go on to money management. Do you all have any tips on money management and saving while in school? Did you two work? Did you have on-campus jobs or others? I know personally, senior year, I was working 3 jobs, and I came home crying every night. So I don't.
I had about 4 different jobs while in college, on top of organizations, on top of forgetting I had class, spending all of my refund check. And a refund check, for those who don't know, is the check that you get. Basically, you get a certain amount of aid to pay for that semester. Typically, you're not going to use all that aid for that semester, so you get whatever the remaining balance is back to you in the form of a check. Being around 18 or 19 years old, never had over $1,000 that went directly to me that my parents did not know. So I'm like, oh, this is money for me. We're going to go straight to the mall. I didn't save any of it, because the point of what that money is for, you're supposed to actually pay back the 8 or those loans that you got for either that previous semester or the payment that that's what you're supposed to do, but nobody does that. So it took me after I graduated out of college to start learning money management. So I suggest that now you start a checking and savings account every time you get paid from whatever job. Set aside some money to have like emergency fund, because anything can happen. Your tire can go flat. Anything can happen. You always want to have like an emergency fund. Like you can put $20 or $50 in there every 2 weeks or every week, however much you get paid. I would highly advise you trying to get some type of I wouldn't say a money mentor, but get real close to someone in financial aid, or get close to someone really, really close who knows how to do business management or management of money, because that's going to be that person who's going to tell you what loans and what grants and what things of that nature to get. But I did work. I did have a job on campus, off campus. I worked at H&R Block. I worked at Home Depot. I worked everywhere to pay my rent when I had. I didn't save money how I should have, so I most definitely will recommend for you to definitely save money, because in the long run it will get you out of a lot of things, because things will come up, things will happen. So, yeah. Don't spend all your refund check. That's the only thing I'm going to say.
Awesome. I think all of us can relate to that or attest to that. I know I definitely can. Because like you said, never had more than $1,000. So seeing that much deposit into my bank account, it's time to party. Like, everything is on me.
I knew when it was coming in. I knew, it was coming in around 12:30, first day of classes. I knew. Nobody was in class so bad. Like, nobody would be in class. We would all be at the mall out to eat. Like, it's so bad. So don't do that. Do not.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you for that, Brittany.
I hated my mom when this happened, but she never let me see a refund check. But I didn't understand why. But now, like, when I had to pay the balance back, I understand now. But when refund check time came, everybody would go to the mall and Thomas would be at home sad. Like, oh man, oh you guys are getting fly. Like it's like dang, like I missed out on those times. But now like when it comes time to pay back, like she knew that she wouldn't let me spend that money on me. Like it was school money. So like that's one advantage, disadvantage to your mom being a teacher, I guess.
That's an advantage, cause
It was a disadvantage
Yes, for
at the
sure.
time, but after school it became an advantage.
right.
One thing I will say also that Brittany said, money in college is not is fictional. It's not real. It's like you don't understand the amounts of money you have for the times that you're living in. So you might save very well all semester, and then it's that big party at the end of semester, and you blow all your money, but you don't think anything else about it because you're going home at the end of semester, and everything might be paid for at home. So in terms of money management, I agree with Brittany. I didn't learn money management until I left school because, especially I say at Howard at HBCU, it was just a fictional society. Everyone is acting like they have all this money, but in reality, we're all in debt.
Right.
It was not everyone. You know, you have your scholarship people, you have your wealthy, you're well off, but for the most part,
We did.
people didn't really have it. That's why you're in school, because you want to get into a career that you can have it in. So it's money management. I had about 6 jobs. I know I did refereeing. That was always lucrative for me. I worked in the technology. I don't even know what to call it. Technology center at school. Anytime there was a lot of being in D.C., the nation's capital. There was a lot of jobs around the city that you could take as well. It's like campaigns. People always running for campaigns. I would hop on any campaign, donate blood, donate. I did sleep study. I did bone marrow. Anything. I needed money, so you know you gotta get money. Just don't do anything illegal and stupid that's gonna jeopardize you. But if there was legal money, I was a part of it in DC, definitely. But then you get lump sums of money and you don't know how to act with it. Like it's trial and error. You're not gonna learn until you mess up and spend all your money. Honestly, that's what's going to happen. Is college, unless you're used to thousands of dollars in your bank account now. You're gonna blow it the first time you get it. Everyone does it. You hear about everyone doing it, yet when you get it, you do it too because it's a learning thing. It's like, oh man, but I was also the ramen noodle king, you know. So those ramen noodles will let you know, like, I need to save up for the Benihana. So you're gonna learn real quick on how to do that. So basically, live and learn. Live and learn. It's like you have to live and learn with that.
Dude.
I want to tell you something real great. Like, yeah, put $50 a week in your savings account, and then any spare money you get, just tuck it away for a rainy day. But I know realistically it might not happen because I was told the same thing. So be as smart as you can with your money while you have it, and then period. That's where I want to stop. Just be as smart as you can with your money while you have it.
Perfect. And maybe, like Brittany said, getting hooked up with a financial advisor, somebody to help you manage your money, because I know being 17, 18, I don't even think I had a bank account. I think I got a bank account after my high school open house. So I didn't know what to do. I mean, had my first debit card, so definitely try to get with someone who can help you with your finances and just save. Is that pretty much what we want you guys out there at home to take away from that? Thank you, two. Those were perfect answers. Number 4, health habits. Taking care of yourself while at school. Now, this is a big one because we're used to parents making dentist appointments, doctor's appointments. They tell you, look, you have an appointment at 3 o'clock, you need to be there. But we're not used to making them on our own. Because I know when I got sick, when I went away to school, didn't have a doctor, didn't have a dentist. I wasn't used to paying co-pays on my own. But I did some ibuprofen, like I got a toothache, when I should have been going and taking care of myself. So can you guys elaborate on the importance of keeping up with yourself and your health while away at school?
Okay, go ahead, Brittany.
I will basically say it's very, very important, and just how Danielle said, like, we're not used to doing that unless our parents tell us, like, you got a dentist appointment, you got a doctor's appointment. It didn't it didn't hit me that I needed to get a doctor and dentist until one day, Christmas Eve, my filling came out on my tooth and I was in the most excruciating pain in my life. And I was like, I don't even know who to call. I don't even know what to do because I did not take care of business or ask, well, when I come up here, um, what do I need to do? So most definitely learn the area that you're in so you can see what doctors, what dentists, what, every piece of body part that you need to know where the hospital is at, just so you can make sure that your insurance is accepted at whatever doctor's office or whatever. But I mean, the reality of it is the last thing on your mind because you just focus on, I want to get to college and I want to get away from home. That's all. But you never want to have to scramble around to know where to go if you need a doctor. You always want to have, like, okay, I know this is the doctor on this street. So I would say start researching the area of where you're going, and then if you have insurance, and if you don't have insurance, there are insurance options out there for those who are in college who don't make money, um, just so you can have something that covers you in state of your own health, because you never know what can come up and what can happen, because you always want to be covered, period. Your life, like, you are spending all of that money to go to college, and if your body and mind is not together, then you're wasting thousands and thousands of dollars. So most definitely, when you go to college, that's when your eating habits change. You start doing things you shouldn't do, like alcohol is involved, just a whole bunch of things you are not introduced to when you're at home with your parents, and you have to make those conscious decisions because you have to keep in mind you're making an investment in yourself as a whole, in terms of your education as well as your body and health. You can't say you want to be this and this and this, and your body and your health is not together, because you won't be there to experience that. And I don't want to scare anybody about death, but just make sure that you have yourself in order, and not just physically in terms of health, but your mental state, meaning get rest, meaning eat well, meaning work out, make sure your body is in tune and safe, and make sure you're protecting yourself in every way possible. That's
Perfect.
Also,
Awesome, Brittany.
going to school with dealing with grades, like
Mm,
you won't get a lot of, like you'll forget to sleep, you'll
mm,
forget to eat, and you'll find things more important to yourself than going to the doctor. You're gonna be like, oh man, like I'm fine. Like you won't be until you're near death. You're probably not gonna think to go to the doctor and just get a check. But one thing I did find out is you have aspiring doctors and dentists. We had a school of dentistry. You can get free dental work done. You have a doctors. You have all these aspiring doctors. Get in touch with your school's PhD program or dentistry program, and they'll probably do the just as good as amount of work as a certified dentist or doctor as someone else. But also know your student health centers, your hospitals. And being a student, a lot of that stuff is covered. Students just don't think about going. Like it never gets that far until it's really too late. That's when people first
yeah.
think to do something. You have to eat right, which is easier said than done. The freshman 15 is real. I've seen people come in and
Very real.
leave his logs. But vice versa, I've seen people turn it around. It's all about, you have to have your priorities straight in college. Until until you have to have a solid group of friends to be around as well to tell you, like, oh, you're not living right, and you have to be smart enough to listen and take that advice as well. I know I have a fast metabolism, so I probably didn't work out as much as I needed to, but also the fact that the facilities were available to me. You might have friends that say, hey, let's go play basketball, or hey, I'm about to hit the gym, you want to come with me? And things like that. Just take advantage of those things. And like Brittany said, like, protect yourself in every way possible. lot of people start off college one way and end up with a family, and that's unplanned. So just know, remember why you went to college, and that was to get your degree, and stay true to that plan that you mapped out to yourself, and everything will be all right. And have someone that you can talk to in any situation. Like I would talk to my father a lot, and he will always give me the advice that not exactly I wanted to hear, but I needed to hear. So unless you have those right people in your corner, bad decisions may come about. So stay grounded in what you were taught in high school. Don't try to grow up too fast.
Awesome. Perfect. Anybody want to add to that? I think y'all covered like all bases though, but
I have a question. When you all decided to attend the colleges that you attended, what went into that decision making process? Did you get the chance to go to your first choice? Did you have dreams of going here and you ended up there? How did that work out for you all?
My first choice was not Eastern Michigan University. My first choice was Alabama A&M. My mother passed away my senior year in high school. So after that, I took a year off. And then I went to Saginaw Valley State, which is about an hour away from Flint, Michigan. And it was too far away from my dad. So then I don't even know if it was the grace of God. I don't know what it was, but something told me, like, you need to look at Eastern Michigan University. And I visited the campus, and something just made me feel like I belong there. So ever since then, I was like, I love this school, and even to this day, I love this school, and I wish I had the opportunity to go to a HBCU, but college is what you make it. I could have went to a HBCU or a all girl school or whatever, like, but college is what you make it. It's you make college your collegiate experience what it is. So wasn't my first choice, but I fell in love with it because I made Eastern what it was to me, and because of the woman I am today in terms of my organizational work, my volunteer work, and me owning my own company is because I attended Eastern and the things that I did while attending that university. So, and now it's like I have the opportunity. I go back to Eastern to speak to students, so it's just kind of like I never would have thought. So I love my alumni.
that is awesome. That is awesome and a wonderful testimony and story to share too. Thomas, you want to add anything to that?
For me, leaving high school, I knew absolutely nothing about college. I wanted to go to the University of Miami to play baseball. Unfortunately, I wasn't good enough to go there. My options were limited to like JUCOs and things like that. And then when I told my mom I wanted to go to JUCO to play baseball, she said, "You're not going to a CC, a junior college." She was so against that. So fortunately, I was forced to look the academic route. I did what I needed to do in high school to get where I needed to go. I narrowed it down. I only applied to 3 schools. Like, no one told me like you could get what is it, entry fees waived. You could get your entry fee to college waived. Pretty much, you just need to reach out. So I'm like, I need to pay for as few as possible. So I chose. It was between Michigan, Howard, and FAM. I remember at the time FAMU was going through something with accreditation, so I crossed them off. And Michigan, I wanted to leave the state. Like I had spent my whole life in Michigan, so I went to something called Escape to the Capstone. It's when they take people from the Michigan Club from Michigan, takes high school students down to Howard and let them stay for a week. And when I stayed at Howard for a week, I knew that was where I had to go. Like it's not where it was fate. Whatever brought me there made it happen. And I love anyone that's gonna go to Howard University. You're only gonna hear good about it. Love it. Like the alumni are great, the students are great, the undergrad life is great, grad programs are great. So when you visit it, make sure you. And also, I do want to say this, which is something I wish I had have known prior. You have 4 years to live in any state you want to. Choose a state where you might want to live. Like me personally, looking back, I wanted to do a lot of acting and things like that. Had I had known I was gonna spend the next 4 years of my life in one state, really thinking about the advantages and disadvantages of a state, I would have went to school in California because you're not gonna be paying for it. Technically, you are paying for it, but this is like your free 4 years to live wherever you want to live on Earth. So when you think of it like that, I feel like that's the best method into choosing colleges. DC is a real city for politics, and I wasn't really into politics, so I found myself trying to go to other states, trying to find work. So just definitely know where you're going to be living for the next 4 years.
Okay,
Awesome.
cool. And for like those, I just happened to go to Howard University as well, and I was political science major, and I thought I was gonna work on the Hill. Like I was sure. I was like, this is it. And I interned on the Hill. They don't smile. They're not friendly. So I decided that that wasn't the route for me. How important is it to find stuff like that out during your 4 years, to intern, to, meet people and work in different places and kind of figure out, because a lot of people, they'll think I want to be a bio major so that I can go be a bio teacher, like,
Right.
and not know how deep their major can go and how they can pretty much use it to do anything that they want to do. And so, how important do you think that it is to intern and get involved, especially like your first year?
I think it's very, very, very important. Me deciding what I'm doing today, I didn't even know what public relations was. Like, it's not a career field that you know of. I went to Eastern to study secondary education. I wanted to be a high school teacher, and when I studied communications, that's when I started doing my research of all the different careers that fell under that umbrella of going into communications. And through my work and me being involved in different organizations on campus, that's when I learned what public relations was and fell in love with it. And then I researched outside of the university on who was doing what I wanted to do, so I can get the hands-on experience and actually see what it is to be a publicist and what it is to see how to own your own business. And I interned for Clear Channel Radio, a public relations company based out of Detroit, and that's where I learned my actual hands-on work of doing what it is that I want to do. And it was one of the most beneficial experiences that I've ever had in my life. And today it's like, now the lady that I intern under, she's one of my colleagues. And now I want to give back to people that come under me when they come do my internship on what are those things that I wish I learned when I was in my internship. But do as many internships as possible, because you may think you want to do one thing and then you see how it really is. You're like, oh, you know what? Never mind. It's just too much, or it's not something that I want to really do. Most definitely, because an internship is basically you volunteering your time to learn about a field that you just read about on paper. So I would most definitely say, and a lot of times some people don't know how to actually get internships. How I got it, I researched public relation companies in Detroit, found a list of them, and emailed everyone like, are you looking for an intern? This is my name, this is my major, these are my interests. I can do this and this and this. I want to learn this and this from you. And that's when you put your foot out there, and the worst they can say is no. And if they say no, you move on to the next person. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely, you have to intern. An intern is basically you working the job, but you're a lot of the people that work the job will pass their responsibilities down to the intern. So you're gonna learn it hands on. While doing that, you're either gonna find out if it's for you or if it's not. Like going into school at 17, 18, you don't know. You think you know, but you have no clue what you want to do for the rest of your life. So I thought I wanted to be a sports broadcaster, going into school. But going to school, learning about the different majors, you find out what's for you and what's not for you. I had the opportunity to intern with the Washington Wizards, the Washington Redskins, the Washington Nationals, ESPN, NASCAR. Just I got the chance to meet all types of different people in those fields, those industries, and it gives you the chance to learn the industry, to learn the game, to know how to maneuver through, to learn how to work from the bottom to the top. When you go to an internship, you're gonna get your of course, when you first go in there, you're gonna think you should be CEO of the company. You're gonna be like, yo, why am I not CEO already? But you're gonna go in and you're gonna be at the very bottom of the totem pole. And until you work at the bottom, you're not gonna know how it is to work at the top. You have to learn the industry from the bottom up, and that's basically what an internship teaches you to do. It's essential. It's like I said, it's very essential into growing in your field. You might do an internship for a year and you say, hey, this isn't for me. And then you change your major. But intern is early and as often as possible. Preferably paid internships. That's always a good way. But some of the best experience, I didn't have any paid internships, and I got some of the best experience. I will also recommend not interning for these large companies. I feel like the best experience you can get is working for a small company because they have more to teach and more to offer you. That's my 2 cents on interning.
I completely agree with you, Thomas. Like I've gotten to nonprofits and nonprofit work, and now I work at a really, really big nonprofit. But I started off at like mom and pops, like Save the Whales, like nonprofit, and you learn so much about what people think is important, money management, like organizations with smaller budgets, how they make things happen versus like organizations with huge budgets. And so interning is definitely one of those ways to kind of learn like how it works, and you don't always start off at a big 10 company or something like that. It doesn't work that way. But I have one more question for Brittany in particular. So one thing like we want to do here at Detroit Speaks is keep it 100. So a lot of people have misconceptions about what is going on in Detroit and what's offered there, and how you have to go here in order to be successful, and you can't make it happen while you're in the city. And Jasmine has been super involved in like her acting and her television, and she's right there in the city. Sometimes like for example, Danny's job led her to Augusta, Georgia, but for those who are in the city, what do you have to say, like, for those students that are starting college in the fall in Michigan, but they kind of felt like, felt some type of way about it because they like, ain't nothing here. And I really think it's more of we hear it so much that ain't nothing here that we just believe that there's nothing there. What's your opinion on that?
I hate when people say there is nothing anywhere, period. I'll get into arguments with people about this topic because I hate when they say it's nothing in Detroit, it's nothing to do. It basically, in my opinion, is your personal mindset. I live and breathe. If you feel like it's nothing and wherever you're at, you create those opportunities for yourself. You create those opportunities. You go look for those opportunities. I feel like we are part of a generation where we're the developers, we're the innovators, we want to think of things that are already here but make them better. And so I feel like you have to actually sit down and do the research on what is out there, who can you help, who needs help, how can you be involved, what can you do. Whatever you're passionate about or whatever you like to do, if you like fashion, if you like music, if you like acting, there are different resources and organizations that are in the city of Detroit that are out there that need help, that need volunteers. Every day I can easily go to Instagram or social media to see what is going on in the city. It's always something going on. Like, I don't understand where people get, like, it is nothing to do in the city from. Like, it's so many different opportunities. There's an organization called Detroit Young Professionals, where it's an organization of young professionals who get together and do meetups. They go golfing. There's an organization that's called I Am Pink Detroit. It's a group of a mentoring group for young women who are in high school. So if you recently graduate, you can actually volunteer your time to mentor different young ladies who are actually in college, in high school where you just came from. So I feel like we're also a lazy generation. So if it's not presented to us, we don't want to look for it. And that's something that I would wish everybody can change, but I know it's not going to change. But if you stuck in Detroit, if you can't go, if you got the money to leave, so that means you're here, so that means you need to figure out what you're going to do, because staying in the house or just chilling or kicking it or going to the Riverwalk and just doing nothing is not going to cut it. Like, it's so many opportunities out there where you can start your own business, you can connect with a different company or a different brand, that it's no excuse of why you can't figure out what you want to do and what it is to do. It's a simple email. You can even DM people now. Like, it's so simple, like so easy now. So easy.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And I really did. I wanted to ask that because that negative energy of like there's nothing here, so I'm not gonna do nothing is real. It's real, and a lot of people have negative things to say about people from Detroit or like Detroit in general. But there's not a day that goes by that I live here in Atlanta and I meet somebody from Detroit and it's that instant like
Right. What up, like,
and it literally doesn't matter because in the day Detroit is going to be in your heart. It's going to be with you wherever you go. But if you are still there and there are plenty of opportunities to take advantage of. There are plenty of people that would love to be a mentor and to offer their resources to you. You just have to, no one's going to hand you anything. You have to open up your mouth and you have to speak and you have to say what it is that you want, because if not, you're going to be at the Riverwalk wondering what everybody else is up
right.
to. We have some questions on the right side of the screen. I don't know if you guys can see them.
Yeah.
I know we touched on study habits in particular, but what were some cool things that you guys picked up on while you were in college? For example, I didn't know until my senior year, maybe last semester, that I really studied well with note cards. Didn't know. I had struggled through, everything. It was my last test for my last class, but I use note cards. So is there anything that you guys picked up on while you were in undergrad that helped you get through your studying?
I know I never knew what a study group was before I went to college. There's actually groups of people out there that are all studying the same thing that don't mind helping each other out. So I gave that. I was successful in study groups, honestly. I don't do well studying by myself simply because I feel I have ADD. I just get distracted too often. But if you have a group of people working together, they're going to think about questions. You have to question each other, too. It's like just asking questions on the same topic. And you would be surprised. I'll remember something from a question that someone asked me better than I will from reading a 10-page paper or just reading a chapter or something like that. I'm more of a visual learner.
I don't study well in groups because I'm always like so what y'all doing tonight? Like, I'll get everybody so off topic. And the first time I was introduced to like a study group was with my sorority sisters. First, like, we just had to do it because we had to do it. Like, no, I didn't study well with that. So I learned that I study well alone and then when it's still fresh in my mind. So after class, I learned after the teacher goes over a certain chapter that I needed to actually go home, read that chapter over myself, and highlight different pinpoints because I retain information when it's fresh in my mind, and then it just like goes into a safe, so I can just be ready for when the final exam comes up. So that's how I learned how I study. So everyone's study methods won't work for you. So how Thomas may study in a group, I would be the one that'll get him distracted with his ADD, and I'll just be like, so what you doing today? What you want? Like, that'll be me, and I'll probably get kicked out the study group. I'm more, let me go to the library. I would stay in the library literally until like 5 a.m. studying, because that's when I can study the best when it's nighttime. So, yeah.
Cool. So,
One thing I do want to add is if you're getting in a social group, a study group, don't get in a study group with other social people. I know I'm a social person, so I more stayed away. If I knew someone was a social person, I said, oh no, there's no way we could be in a study group together. You'll find me in a study group with people you wouldn't even knew I knew. Like, you'd be like, how are you studying with those people?
so my follow-up question to that is, all right, you got a test on Monday, but you know it's going down on Saturday night, and you know you haven't studied. Like, making those decisions on when to turn down and open the book. As a freshman, think back to freshman year and how you had one job, and that was to literally pass all these classes. But the temptation is out there. There are people having parties that's literally handing you flyers as soon as you walk out of class on Friday. Like, how do you balance that? Like, how did you guys do it?
I didn't really care about parties like that because I knew it was going to be others. So it was like, in my mind, my freshman year, I was still getting adjusted to like, how can I come to Easter and take over Easter? Like, to be honest, like, that was my mindset. It sounds so bad, but I didn't even focus on parties, and I knew, like, okay, I need to get this certain GPA so I can get this many scholarships because all the financial aid is in my name. So my mindset was totally different, but always remember, like, yes, the icebreaker, everybody is going to be there. So I wouldn't say, like, no, don't go to the icebreaker. I would say your teacher hands you a syllabus in the beginning of the semester. So you know when certain tests are going to come up. So you know, and then you can even, you know when the icebreaker is. So you can know, like, okay, this is when this test is going to be. So I'm going to get all my studying out the way before Thursday or before Wednesday because the icebreaker is on Thursday. So I wouldn't say, like, don't go, but prioritize your week and your semester to knowing when to study accordingly. But if it's to the case of final exams, you don't want to be that one person that's in the library with everybody until 8 in the morning because you didn't study or prepare the whole semester, and you in there looking crazy because you want to go to a party and you're going to see the same people at the party. They probably don't even go to your school, so whatever. So, yeah.
I agree. You have to prioritize. It's the same parties happen every week. You'd be surprised if you miss a party. It's gonna be the same party next week. I know it might seem like this party is the one, but the next one is gonna be next week, and I promise you, it's gonna be a party Friday or Saturday, whatever college you decide to go to. And also, if you don't know it by Saturday night, I doubt you learn it all on Saturday night. It's a process. You have to go to class. You have to take notes, read those notes after class so it gets stuck in your brain. And don't just take notes and go home and throw those notes away until the next time you go to class. A lot of times teachers, like Brittany said, it's a syllabus. Read on what's going to be taught in class before you go to class that day. So now when the teacher is teaching their lesson, you're basically having a discussion with them because you already read what they're going to be teaching about. That's the point of a syllabus, which I didn't learn till senior year. So you guys take advantage of that. But also, I remember one time I did try. I said, it's Saturday night, I'm gonna stay in. I'm not gonna go to the party. I'm gonna study. Instead, your phone rings all night. People ask where you're at, and you're like, oh, I'm studying. They're like, no, you're not. Where you at? They're gonna think you're lying. It's just if you don't know it by Saturday night, you're not gonna know it by Monday morning. And you can study Sunday as well too. That's always an option. So
So
But
basically, if you feel like you're behind, then to go to office hours and
office hours
Yeah.
and pray.
Oh.
I would pray every week.
absolutely. Yes. So I know we're getting close to 8:30. Gonna ask the last two questions. Whoever wants to take on the question, that's fine. How important do you think it is to get involved in organizations on campus, especially your freshman year? There are like so many options on what to do, and where do you think you should start with looking for organizations to get involved with?
I most definitely would say it's very, very important. I was like the organization queen. Like anything there was that I could get my hands on, I did it. But I didn't just join the organizations to just to put them on a resume so I can join a sorority because a lot of people do that. I actually had a passion for fashion. So one thing that I did was I I did a fashion show with the organization, and then I became president of Black Student Union because I had a passion about um, helping our culture and bringing our culture to our campus. Then there wasn't an organization on campus that had a large fashion show, so I founded an actual organization on campus, and then that led me to joining my sorority. One thing I would say when taking these different skills or joining these different organizations, I learned something from each and I brought something to each. So I will highly say with joining organizations, make sure you prioritize your time because school and your academics are still number one. If you don't have the time to give whatever position or whatever that organization is asking for at that time, do not join because it's doing a disjustice to the actual organization and their purpose or mission. Um, and don't join an organization because it's cool or because your friends are doing it. Join organizations because it's something that you are passionate about or something that you believe in or that something that you want to make a difference with. Um, and I think that's it. So yeah, joining organizations is very important. But sometimes your freshman year, I wouldn't say do it because it's so many organizations but just actually learning like what are the organizations actually doing because if it's just an org it's just an org and they're not doing nothing like what's the point and purpose but actually joining something that is actually doing something concrete within the community and the campus community so
I would just say know why you're joining an organization.
mhm.
When you apply for jobs, once you graduate, they're not necessarily going to care what organization you were a part of. Organizations do take time away from school, time away from studying. So you have to know what type of person you are. You're responsible enough to manage both. If there's something you can't handle, it might not be for you. Me on the other hand, I mean I joined plenty of organizations. I joined an organization probably every semester of my college career, but I know people that also joined those organizations with me and couldn't finish school because they joined those organizations. So like Brittany said, know the benefit. Know what those organizations you're joining are doing. Don't just do it because it's cool. Because those same people that you thought were cool might not even get a degree. So pretty much just know what you're getting yourself into. But it's also a great experience in terms of networking with people, growing your network. But when you apply for those jobs, they don't care that you were the president of your organization.
No, no.
Thank you. So did either of you guys study abroad? If you didn't, did you wish you would have studied abroad? And did you know about the any opportunities that were available through your school to do so?
I did not study abroad, but there were opportunities at my school too. It was never a passion of mine, but there are opportunities to most definitely study abroad at different colleges. In most, more than likely, if you go to like your campus and like your campus involvement or like it's a certain office that your university has where they have like or your major like where they give that information of the different opportunities of being able to study abroad so
Yeah, I also didn't study abroad. I mean, I think it would have been a great opportunity. Everyone I hear that studies abroad loves it, But I mean, I was into sports. Like, I am in the place to be for sports. So I didn't want to go to, somewhere else and try to learn their language, try to learn their games, their culture, and things like that. I did have the opportunity to start a company though, and the school gave us money to travel back and forth to business competitions. So that was like my studying abroad, but it was studying domestically. But just take it like there at Howard and at every school there are departments like Brittany said in your major that they provide those programs for you to study abroad.
Absolutely. And so stuff like that is a personal preference. Like if you're not into studying abroad, like you don't have to do it. It's one of those things that some people will say, you got to take advantage of it. But then some people are like, I could care less. I just want to finish on time. So just do note that, if you do study abroad, to figure out exactly what you're going to be missing that semester, if you're going to be late graduating, how you can make sure you still graduate on time if you do take the time out to study abroad, and all those questions. Ask the right things, ask questions, because you'll end up, graduating 2 years late just because you missed a class that's only offered in the spring or something like that. And so you want to make sure you look into stuff like that before studying abroad. I think that is all of our questions. Do you guys have anything else you want to add?
I think that's about it. Jazz, unless you have anything?
I was just going to say that I think everything that you guys said was great information, great tips for success, and we definitely thank you guys for being a part. I think the people who are watching really were able to benefit from your testimonies and things that you shared. So thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you
Thank
too
you.
so much. So are we signing off now?